Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7 versus Galaxy S25 Ultra. Some selections will need to be taken. The Z Fold 7 is now lighter and almost thin as the S25 Ultra. Is this the time to switch to a foldable phone? Let us find out. This summer, Samsung's got not one but two flagship-tier phones vying for your attention and pocketbook. On one end, we've got the futuristic, foldable, productivity-obsessed call the Z Fold 7. On the other, the original, camera beast and S-Pen wielding of the S25 Ultra. The Z Fold 7 is actually grabbing the main camera from the Galaxy S25 Ultra. Would that not make it the ultimate Samsung phone? For the eventual price of $2,000 it had better be. But somewhat stealthily, it's shunning the S-Pen support. Meanwhile, the S25 Ultra is built on multiple refinements and reiterations of the same tech. Super zoom, S-Pen, big beautiful screen. 1. Design and size. Right off the bat, these are both huge phones. But how they get there is very different. The Galaxy S25 Ultra is your typical heavyweight champion. An angular slab of glass and titanium, weighing in at 218 grams, with that distinctive boxy design. A 6.9-inch flat AMOLED up front and an S-Pen tucked inside. Familiar yet contemporary because to the boxy redesign from this year. On the other hand, the Z Fold 7 though, that's Samsung's ultimate flex, literally. It has slimmed down to a crazy thin 8.9mm when folded, and shed a few grams down to 215 grams. To make it clear, the Galaxy S25 Ultra is 8.2mm right now. A bit thick by Choco Bar phone standards, but all forgiven because it's packed with high-tier tech. The Z Fold 7, when folded, barely feels any different to the Galaxy S25 Ultra. It also helps that the new Fold's outer screen is wider, finally moving away from the TV remote dimensions of previous generations. It's a 21:9 now, again like normal cell phones of this day and age and inside. An 8-inch foldable AMOLED screen, somewhat broader than previously and ready to morph into your tiny tablet. The Galaxy S25 Ultra is covered by Gorilla Armor on the front, a blend between Gorilla Glass Victus 2 and Samsung's proprietary anti-reflecting layer on top. It's incredibly sturdy and resistant to those irritating micro-scratches that have a tendency to come out of nowhere. No such luck for the Z Fold 7. It boasts Gorilla Glass Ceramic 2 on its cover screen. We'll see how this one does with reflections. And Gorilla Glass Victus 2 on its back. For ingress protection, don't expect the Z Fold 7 to match the IP68 rating of the S25 Ultra. It sticks with IP48. Samsung has accomplished water protection by virtue of ancient black magic, we believe. But particle resistance is limited to larger chunks of sand. The hinge will let superfine dust in, so don't bring it along for that camping trip. 2. Display differences. This one's easy. Both phones boast jaw-dropping dynamic AMOLED X2 screens. You just need to pick if you want one enormous screen or two very different ones. The S25 Ultra, one enormous 6.9-inch QHD plus AMOLED, flat this time, no bends towards the edge, operating 1 to 120 Hz adaptive refresh with 2600 nits of peak brightness. Samsung's finest display, for sure. While the Z Fold 7, a much improved 6.5-inch exterior AMOLED, now genuinely usable, and a gigantic 8.0-inch inside screen that unfolds into tablet territory. Both at 120 Hz, allowing smooth animations and the same peak brightness. Where the Z Fold wins, multitasking, immersive media, and productivity. Where the Ultra wins, simplicity, S-Pen integration, and fewer moving parts. Well, and camera somewhat, we'll get to that in a bit. Yes, no S-Pen support on the Z Fold 7. Doesn't make sense when you have such a large canvas. Well, apparently Samsung doesn't agree. Well, the Z Fold Special Edition in South Korea was a much thinner phone, like the current Z Fold 7, but still lacks the S-Pen support because the stylus digitizer just had to go. Apparently, users prefer the thinner foldable sans S Pen than the reverse. So, it is what it is. 3. Display measurements. While the Z Fold 6 had the tendency to dip in max brightness, the Z Fold 7 hangs in there. In fact, it hangs with the S25 Ultra in every metrics, from brightness to color reproduction. The new screens do what they say on the tin, and that's surely appreciated. In some other good news, the crease on the new Z Fold 7 is now even shallower and less apparent. In fact, it's tougher to feel too. Samsung did alter the hinge yet again, and used a somewhat thicker flexible glass to create that effect. 4. Performance and software. Under the hood, both the Galaxy Z Fold 7 and the S25 Ultra rock the new Snapdragon 8 Elite for Galaxy, built on a shiny 3nm TSMC process. It comes with enhanced thermal efficiency, boosted AI capabilities, and benchmark-shattering performance. Both phones come with 12 gigs of RAM, while the Z Fold 7 does offer a 16 gigs option if you go all the way up to 1 TB storage increase. While they have the same chips, you can see the Z Fold 7 falling slightly behind in raw benchmark scores. We may attribute that to the Z Fold 7 having a much slimmer chassis to deal with. Therefore, thermal management is different. We can witness the same in the rigorous GFX test from 3D Mark. The Z Fold 7 only has to slow down a bit more, as it presumably doesn't have a lot of area for cooling components. Software-wise, we get Android 16 with One UI 8 right out of the box, along with the full Galaxy AI suite, real-time translation, circle to search, live call summaries, the usual AI but make it useful features. And yes, both will enjoy Samsung's 7 years of updates, which means both should last you well until 2032, so long as their batteries survive the trip. Now the issue is, how long will the S25 Ultra get the new One UI 8 update? The phone is less than half a year old, and we are now anticipating that major OS update, and hoping it won't take months for it to arrive. 5. Camera. Here's where the S25 Ultra still displays its authority. A 200 megapixels main sensor, 12 megapixels ultra-wide, 10 megapixels 3x telephoto, and 50 megapixels 5x periscope. It's packed with framing options and fun tools to play with, and it deservedly tops the ladder on our expansive camera benchmark test. Wait a second though, what's that on the Z Fold 7? The 200 megapixels primary camera from the Ultra. And it is a major upgrade over the Fold 6. But the rest of the setup is still pretty modest. A 12 megapixels ultra-wide and 10 megapixels 3x zoom. It will do exactly fine, and will give the excellent quality photographs you deserve after paying $2,000 for a phone. But the Ultra still has that added super zoom power. Despite having the same main 200 megapixel sensor, the Z Fold 7 did score a couple points worse in our standardized test. The changes are tiny, its exposure dances around a little bit more from one photo to the next, its details are a little bit worse than the S25 Ultra. Again, just a couple of points. And as expected, the main camera doesn't give us big distinctions between both. The Z Fold 7 does appear to have slightly greater contrast, with more blooming highlights and deeper shadows, but the S25 Ultra generates slightly flatter visuals. But that's nitpicking. Details, colors, and exposure are pretty much the same. Even in low light, identifying variations between the two main cameras is a hard challenge. Interesting result from the zoom test. We do appreciate the colors and contrast from the Z Fold 7 image, but the S25 Ultra obviously proves that it's the zooming king with much more detail, where the Z Fold 7 melts into over-sharpening. Both ultra-wide cameras are similarly bright, sort of HDR-y, kind of over-sharpened, but extremely similar in output. While both selfie cameras give us nearly the same sharpness, details, and exposure, the colors from the S25 Ultra selfie camera are a touch closer to reality, while skin tone from the Z Fold 7 has a bit of a yellowish pale tint in contrast. With the same sensor, video performance from both is likewise fairly similar. The Z Fold 7 footage did come out with a bit less contrast and a bit more pinkish color in the well-lit area at the beginning. But from then, stability, shadows, and details pretty much the same. So if photography is your game, the Ultra is your racket, but the Fold 7 will scarcely be called a compromise. 6. Battery life and charging. The Z Fold 7 sports the precise same 4400 mAh cell we've seen in its predecessor. However, this is a rather astonishing result, considering how much of the body it slimmed down. The S25 Ultra does have a 5000 mAh cell and a smaller main display to feed with it. So, how does that all influence on battery life? And indeed, as expected, the S25 Ultra is just able to outlast the Z Fold 7 by quite a bit. But again, we did conduct the test with the Z Fold 7 unfolded, so that's the performance when it has to feed that 8 screen. With charging, there is no difference 25 watt on the wire, 15 watt wirelessly to top up your Z Fold 7. The S25 Ultra is at least a touch speedier, with a 45 watt power draw to charge its 5000 mAh battery. Wirelessly, it also supports 15 watt, almost, Q2 charging, no magnets, therefore the almost. To conclude, the S25 Ultra is the most polished slab phone Samsung's ever created. It offers the best camera system, greater battery life, built-in S Pen, and no moving parts. It's the safe bet, but also the best bet for most consumers. The Z Fold 7? That's for the multitaskers, the early adopters, the power users who want their phone to be a tablet, and their tablet to be their phone. It is now thin enough to not feel like a brick in your pocket, and has a main camera that won't feel like a compromise. The price is clearly up there and maybe not worth it, unless you are going to make the most of these two screens. So which one's right for you? And tell us what you think about this comparison in the comments section. Then I will see you in the next one. See you tomorrow. Goodbye.